Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Jacksonville Speedway. This is a CFF racing show powered by Buffalo Wild Wings, and we're trying it again. We loaded a different computer up. We'll see if things work any better here. They are hot lapping in full force on the Speedway as we speak. We're a little late getting started here at Jacksonville Speedway, but we're happy to be here. Got all the same stuff going on. We have Zach Daum interview. We have the interview with Joe B. Miller. We have the interview with Korey Weyant, and we have Wayne Stearns supposed to be coming on. I thought he'd have been here by now since we're running late, but he's not. He's right outside the door. Go get him in a few minutes. He's from the Jacksonville Hall of Fame. He's got some Arnie Knepper stuff, but got some great interviews. They're short, but we got some great interviews with Zach Daum as he talks about his midget and 410 non-wing sprint car he has here tonight. Joe B. Miller, of course, he's the owner of Speed Shack Performance, made his name in the micro ranks. He's got his winged micro here tonight, but he's also got his non-wing 410 sprint car here. Then we talked to Korey Weyant. He's the local guy, Springfield, kind of a local hero. The name Weyant has been around this area for years. He's a former War Series champion, and he's got his 410 non-wing car here. Talked a little bit about he had planned to run the Springfield Mile. He also ran Lake of the Ozark Speedway Friday and Saturday night, and he actually drove home Friday night after the race at Lake Ozark Speedway to race the mile, which got rained out yesterday, and the Silver Crown car went back to Lake Ozark Speedway. Now he's here tonight. Been a long weekend for him, but we took a few minutes to talk to him, and as usual, he was always a happy-go-lucky young man, so we're happy to have him with us here on the CFF Racing Show. So we got just a brief ad or so here, and then we'll be back right after this with an interview from Zach Daum. Jacksonville pit area with Zach Daum. Zach, you doing some double duty today?
Yeah, it was playing. We obviously had some power ride midget races here this weekend, and they put up big money for midget stuff here in Jacksonville. And we always want to come support Kenny and the whole staff here in Jacksonville. It's all good people, and they put on an excellent racetrack here. So we're gonna run midget and the sprint car and see what we can do.
3,000 to win is a pretty good purse for a midget, isn't it?
Yeah, it's and it pays good on back. You know, 3,300 to start. Yeah, that's good. That's good money, and I wish we could have more big money races like that. So hopefully this will kind of maybe get everybody else on the same page, and we can get some bigger paint shows.
Well, you've got the 5D 410 car here as well, non-wing tonight. You're still meddling in that, but it seems like you do both. How hard is it for you to switch back and forth between those two?
Between sprint car and midget, it's non-wing. Sprint car, it's not as bad. I struggle switching back and forth to the wing to a midget just because I don't race enough wing stuff. The other night at Oskaloosa was my 4th night in a wing car all year. You got to race some things a lot more often than what I get a chance to do. Non-wing deal, I don't really struggle as much switching back and forth because it's non-wing, it's engraved, it's more inbred in me, so I don't feel like I struggle as bad there, but the switching to the wing deal is definitely a little bit of a struggle.
Well, you've got a lot of laps around this place. Both you've had success with the wing, without the wing, and especially in the midget, though. Does that help you when you jump out of the midget into the sprint car tonight?
Yeah, I think it helps a little bit here. I mean, I have raced quite a bit here through the last 10 years, so this place it's just elbows up and it's fun. So that's definitely something that you kind of drive all cars here really hard. You know, like you can't go out there and drive them like a wussy here. You gotta get up on the wheel and get after it. So I think that goes in all classes. So you translate that into the next car, and it's just something you have to do here.
Well, there's usually a cushion here. They do a pretty good job of keeping some moisture in it most of the time. It's a lot of sun today, so I'm sure they're working pretty hard putting water on it. But does that help at a place like this, being able to have a cushion and be able to use that track and slide and all the other stuff?
Yeah, it does. You know, that's one good thing here with the banking and the wall, and it does build a really good cushion. And I've come up here a couple times for some local stuff, and I actually had Tommy move the tires in one night, and I thought it created a better. It didn't hurt the top any, and I thought it created a better slide job because you move the tires in a little bit, and then you could run the bottom too if you needed to. So I think they've done that a little bit here more now. So I think it's, you know, anytime you have that options, definitely something to be good. It can be good to promote two-group racing and slide jobs. So hopefully, I'm sure that's what we'll have tonight.
Well, Tommy is really good with the racetrack, especially from a driver's point of view, I think.
Don't give him too much credit.
Well, I mean, he likes to have a racetrack that the drivers like, so he'll listen to the drivers whenever he can, I think.
Yeah, he will. He takes criticism. I mean, we say criticism. It's not criticism. We're not criticizing him. It's just, you know, we all see things. Everybody sees things from a different angle, and he will listen to anybody, and that's what I really like about this place. You know, they don't. There is no egos. Everybody's just here to have a good time and put on good racing, regardless of what it takes to do it. They put in the work here to do it. So that's it's nice to go race at places that put in the same effort that we do to get our cars to the track.
So what outside of a win and one or both, is there anything that makes this night successful for you?
No, not really. Yeah, I'd like to win both of them just to get a little bit of money. All the rainouts and everything this year has been tough, and we've wadded some stuff up, and it just hasn't been a very good year. I mean, we're not terrible, but we're just not great. It's been a weird year. We've had a lot of. It's the worst year I've had that we've been fast and not been able to capitalize on good finishes. So hopefully we can get that out of our system and finish the year strong.
Well, a lot of people talk about how tough it is for, got a car pulling up, but talk about how tough it is for racetracks when they rain out. We've had all these rainouts. How tough is it for you guys as drivers?
Well, I mean, we don't really lose any money, but we don't make any money either. So it's one of those deals where you got to race to keep cash flow moving, and when you don't do that, you're not losing money, but you're also not making any either. So you want to have those. You want to race. We want to race every night, and so it's been tough, but hopefully, you know, here lately we haven't been getting rained out as much, and you know we only had one this weekend, so it's getting better.
All right. Well, good luck tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, welcome back to the CFF Racing Show powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. That was Zach Daum, as we said. Good to hear from him. Of course, he's a guy that's been very successful in the midget ranks and trying to move up through the field a little bit in the sprint car deal as well. Done a pretty good job of that. Next, we were able to catch up with Joe B. Miller. Joe B. is of Speed Shack Performance fame. Of course, he's won a lot of big and the biggest micro sprint races, winged and non-winged, that there are. He'll be running some of the Pure Max Racing Oil Hart non-wing series, probably, hopefully, here at Jacksonville in a couple of weeks. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But he's going to be our next guest as we caught up with him in the pit area just a few minutes ago. All right, caught up with Joe B. Miller, Millersville, Missouri. Talking to a bunch of different guys tonight that have double duty. Yours is a little different than Zach Daum's. He's got the midget and the 410 non-wing. You've got a micro and a 410 non-wing.
Yeah, we ran Farmington last night with both cars, so we figured we'd roll up here, pull the wings off the sprint car, and try our luck out with that. maybe have a little luck with the micro as well.
Well, you had a pretty good night last night. Not as good as you like to have, but a first and a third's not bad for most people.
Yeah, we picked up the micro win and ran third behind both Montgomerys at Farmington, so we got a few laps around that place. So it's not bad overall, so hopefully we can improve a little bit tonight.
So the micro stuff, you've obviously kind of made your name there, but you've kind of ballooned up into the sprint car ranks. I know that's where you want to head, but how nice is it to be able to get some wins still in the micro?
Oh, it's extremely good. I mean, that's my primary business is obviously building the micro engines, so that's what I do for a living. So it's good to kind of come out here and showcase what you have and help sell the product a little bit.
Well, I know that I do the Heart Non-Wing series. They're coming here next Sunday. You've run a lot of wing micro stuff here at Jacksonville. What do you think it'll be like for the non-wing cars?
I think it'll be a good race. It'll be obviously a little bit different than what we're kind of used to, but it should be a good deal. Pull the wings off, kind of even everybody up a little bit.
You got the 636 Kawasaki. That's what you tend to like to run, and I mean, you work on everything, but that's kind of what you become known for. What is it about that 636 that you like?
I mean, it's just kind of budget friendly. A guy can get into it fairly cheap, relatively cheap, I guess, and make good power and go out and run pretty much anywhere in the country and be successful with it.
The Speed Shack Performance obviously is your business. How hard is it to balance business and racing though?
This time of the year, it's really difficult. Obviously, we're on the road 3-4 nights a week sometimes. I mean, tonight I'll drive all the way back home, try being up and at it at the shop in the morning. We got 3 cars here that we're running tonight that all got to be ready. Well, other than the sprint car, but they got to be ready to go again by Thursday. We'll head out. So trying to get work 40-50 hours a week in 3 or 4 days, it's obviously difficult. But we got some good guys at the shop, good guys that come with us on the road, so it helps kind of keep the wheels turning. Well, your dad was a big benefit in you getting started, and he's still around and helping you a lot. That doesn't hurt anything either, does it? Oh, absolutely. Him and my mom got me going at an early age. I'm kind of taking over the deal, but like even this weekend, I put the little trailer behind his truck, and he's been toting the sprint car around, helping me out while I got the micros in the other truck. So yeah, he definitely helps out all over and goes up and down the road with us quite a bit. So what's your plans the rest of the year? Will you be at Jacksonville next Sunday for that non-wing race? I mean, I know you try to run the sprint car whenever you can. Right. I mean, we'll obviously be at the Hustle next weekend at Marion for their 12,000 win deal, and I think we're kind of looking at the schedule, see what Scotty wants to do here as well when he's got to fly back home. But we're definitely looking at it, see if we can maybe slide up here after Marion. So. You've ran a lot wing and non-wing. What do you think the difference will be? Obviously, I don't think the overall speed will be as much, and maybe it'll be a little slicker. But I know some people are concerned it's still going to be fast, isn't it? Oh, absolutely. I mean, the non-wing will free it up a little bit, on the bigger track. So I'm not sure about the overall speed. Lap times will probably be similar. So I mean, it'll be a good deal. It'll even have everybody as far as motor-wise, so it'll make it more driver-friendly, I should say. All right. So. Good group of cars here tonight. It looks like there's some pretty good non-wing cars, and there's several micros as well. You come into pretty much every night, though, looking to get 2 wins if you got 2 cars, or 3 wins if you got 3, don't you? I mean, I think everybody that shows up, likes to think that way. It's just your outlook on the whole thing. So, but yeah, that's our plan, obviously, is pick up 2 feature wins tonight. So if people want to talk to you about the Kawasaki on 600s, or the 636 Kawasaki, or 600 Suzuki, or whatever the case may be, you've got a website and Facebook page and everything, right? Me on Facebook. That's where most people get a hold of me. Give me a call, whatever. We'll talk about what you got and go from there. All right. Well, good luck tonight. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, that was an interview with Joe B. Miller, Speed Shack Performance. Of course, the Micro 600 wing and non-wing guy, Wayne Stearns, beside me. Wayne, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to take a look real quick before we start talking about all the stuff that you do. We got one more interview. We got Korey Weyant. Of course, when we go to talking about the Speedway, the Jacksonville Speedway Hall of Fame, you can talk about a few Wyants in that mixture too, can't you?
Probably a lot of stories about them.
Yeah, so Korey Weyant, the most recent of the Weyant clan to be racing. So we're going to have a short interview with him, and then we'll be back with Wayne Stearns right after this. All right, back in the Jacksonville pit area with Korey Weyant, Killer Korey Weyant, as I like to call him, because he tried to kill me one time, and it wasn't even in a race car. That's the funny thing about it.
Yeah.
Well, you
unintentionally.
Yeah, it was unintentional. I'll give you that. 99 car has been pretty good to you the last few years, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've been fast with the non-wing stuff.
Nice to get back here at Jacksonville and run. You don't get to run here very much because they don't go non-wing very often, and you've been focused pretty much solely on non-wing.
Yeah,
recently.
It's always fun to come back, close to home like this. It's only like, 25, 30 minutes to home. And I ran a lot of laps here, so you kind of know the track, and when you get away from it, you always want to come back and, come and play. So.
How tough was it to make that decision to go from the wing? Because you had some success in the wing, but to switch to the non-wing, and that's kind of what you focus on now.
It wasn't really that tough. I ran a lot of non-wing stuff before I ever switched over and actually run a lot of the MOA stuff. I ran quite a few years non-wing stuff, and I'd run between the two classes. So when we did make the switch, new groups were forming for non-wing stuff, so we kind of made the switch and went and ran with it, and we've had good success ever since.
You've been champion in classes with the War Series way back in the day when it first started. You had an East and a West championship, I think, the same year, didn't you?
Yeah, we won both championships the same year. We've set pretty much every record in War that they've had as far as, most wins in a single season, most wins overall in the history of the series. We still hold both them records and stuff like that. So we've been doing pretty good.
Keep trying to add to that too, right?
Oh yeah.
You've had a busy weekend this weekend, haven't you?
Yeah, it could have
been busier.
It could have been a lot busier, but it was still pretty busy. A lot of travel. We went and ran Lake of the Ozarks Friday night. We come all the way home. We got home about 2:30 in the morning. They got to the Springfield Mile about 5:30 in the morning to run the Silver Crown car. They rained out, so we had to go back to the lake and run that night, and then come over here tonight. So
how disappointing is it that car's going to run right over that four-wheeler? How disappointing is it to have one of those mile races rained out for you?
It sucks because, a lot of times they don't even, there's so much schedule package throughout the year that they don't have time to reschedule them, and luckily with this one, they found a date and they rescheduled it for September 22nd, so we got another chance at it.
Yeah, I know that it adds to it, of course, when you're doing all that extra driving to try and get the race in, but when you only have a few times. I was talking to Chris Hirsch, and he's like, well, depending on see how the miles go, maybe I'll go to Eldora. Do you guys toy with that and go to Eldora, take the big car down there?
I've never been down there, but it's the bad thing is they're always the big Hockett 3-day non-wing show that I run is always the same weekend. Well, I've always wanted to go to Eldora and run at least 3 of the 4 classes, and this year it's not the same weekend, so we plan on going at least running 2, maybe 3 of the classes. So.
What's that switch like? I mean, you've seen Kyle Larson and those guys. Kyle Larson, I think, won the Midget sprint car and Silver Crown one year, 2002 or 2010, or I can't remember. I just seen it. But at any rate, those cars, they just progressively get longer and longer. How does that change your driving style at any racetrack, let alone someplace like that?
It changes it quite a bit jumping from like the non-wing car to the Silver Crown car, because the Silver Crown car, they're so much more lazy. You don't drive them as full bore as you would like one of these on a short track. On the miles, it's backing off. You got to watch your lines. You got to maintain tire, fuel. There's a lot of aspects that go into it.
Yeah, it becomes more like when people think NASCAR, you have to think fuel and you have to save tire, and you're running 100 miles. 100 laps on a 3/8 or a quarter mile is nothing compared to 100 miles or 100 laps on a mile, right?
Yeah, like I said, it's just be totally different. There's a big mental aspect into the Silver Crown stuff, where if you tried running 100 laps on, like say here at Jacksonville, you're constantly on the wheel. You're fighting the car all the way around. Where there, you're more try to stay smooth, try to contain consistent speed. So it's just totally different.
Those cars get sideways, they're probably a lot harder to catch, aren't they?
Yeah, when they start getting sideways, they tend to just keep going. They're so heavy, and then you're carrying so much more fuel that the fuel just kind of it'll push the car into the corner. So
So tonight you're only running the one car, it looks like. So it's kind of a laid back night for you, right?
Yeah. Tonight, more of a laid back night. Just still, it's been a long weekend with all the travel, so we're getting wore out. So Monday work's going to be rough, but we're going to do it.
It'll be a vacation to go back to work.
Oh yeah.
All right, Korey. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, welcome back to the CFF Racing Show, powered by Buffalo Wild Wings. Wayne Stearns, I don't have all the fancy things on your graphic. I apologize.
That's okay.
I had a little bit of computer issue. I actually started the show once and had to stop it because the other computer crashed out on me and wouldn't send any video out. It's been one of those. I've been trying to get. This is like the fourth time I've done this deal, and it never seems to work. This time it looks like it's working. We'll see.
Yeah.
We actually watched it on the phone. It looked good.
Yeah, I understand. I work on computers for a living, so.
So when I can't get something to work, I should just call you?
No, I'm busy.
Oh, you're busy. Yeah. I get that a lot. I got a buddy of mine, Korey Powell, who helps me a lot. I started a computer the other day, and it wouldn't do anything. It worked when I unplugged it. I just have those kinds of issues. This one fried the internal internet card or whatever they call it, the fancy word for that. And I had it plugged in, and it just flashed and quit. I don't know. Anyway,
things happen.
Yeah, let's talk about Jacksonville Speedway Hall of Fame. You kind of started this off a few years back, and it's kind of steamrolled and done pretty good for the Speedway. And they really look, and I think the fans really look forward to seeing the things you bring to the racetrack.
Well, I really appreciate it. 2012, we had a reunion here, and all the stuff that I brought, Kenny goes, "You've got a lot," and I go, "I've got a lot more than that," and that was in 2012. So now it's even more just people bringing up stuff or let me borrow it and copy it and things like that. It's just really interesting. All the stories. That's what's amazing.
That's the cool thing about the nostalgia stuff is it's not even. I mean, it's cool to see the pictures. It's cool, but the stories are what's fun. It's what's behind the photo or what's behind the car and what people can still tell you and keeping those memories alive. So it's great, isn't it?
Right, and all the family stories and things like that, and people that sometimes you work with and you don't even know they have connections to people that raced or know of someone that promoted a track or whatever, and just always amazing to come up with more stories and more people that appreciate what's going on. So I'm just trying to help preserve some of that and bring it back for the younger people that may not have been here or like myself wasn't around the whole time here at Jacksonville.
There's a lot of history in this area between Little Springfield and Jacksonville. There's a ton of history. We had Korey Weyant on, and he's one of the most popular racing families.
Sure.
Wyant's and Standridges probably from this area are two of the most popular racing families who have had onto their third or fourth generation of racers.
Right, and just the background history of them and the things that they know. I mean, they grew up around it, so a lot of the stories and stuff aren't really anything too exciting to them because they were just part of the family and part of the neighbors and things. But people that haven't been around it and things quite like they have, it's really fun to enjoy things like that and hear stuff.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, you brought out a new
yes.
car to the racetrack. Tell us about what that was and what it was like getting it on the racetrack finally.
Yeah, that was really amazing. The car hadn't been out on a racetrack for 31 years. Mike Hanner out of Bunker Hill, Illinois, had the car. And through the internet, I found out that he still had the car and was sitting outside. And I asked if it was for sale. And, like everything else, well, yeah, I'm going to rebuild it or I'm going to redo it someday. And I was able to purchase that from him 5 years ago. And just kind of let it sit for a year, freed it up to where I could bring it out here to the track, took it all the way up to Fairbury, displayed it up there. And then the next year, I started restoring it. And last week, I finally got it out on the track again and got to do some laps thanks to Kenny Dobson here at Jacksonville.
Now, I had Ned Fry, who's up in the Burlington area. He's part of the Mississippi Valley Vintage Race Car Association. they have their big weekend coming up next weekend. So it's kind of been a theme here on the CFF Racing Show the last week or two of having vintage cars. And one of the things I talked to Ned about is how hard it is to find the right things to actually rebuild that car the way it was built.
Yes, that was a fun part, too, for me. Most of it was there. I found an engine, but like the tires, they don't make Mercury tires anymore. And I had pictures that Mike had taken years ago, and it had Mercury tires on it, so that's what I wanted to go back with.
Right.
I found 2 brand new ones down in Arkansas, had them shipped to me. Right front tire came from Pennsylvania. So through the internet, I'm able to, put things back together and got it out on the track. And Mike can't wait to see it. I've showed him videos, but he goes, I want to see it in person again.
Well, Bill Baker is in here snapping a few pictures of us here on the CFF Racing Show. One of the things I've been trying to do is a little picture-in-picture thing. I went out and took a picture of your booth, or a video of your booth earlier tonight. So pretty much every race week, you bring something to the racetrack. Today, you've got your banner hung up, but today you brought stuff for Arnie Knepper.
Right, because we were having midgets tonight, I try and tie it into whatever group is racing. That way, if somebody comes up and said, do you have a picture of so-and-so, or, I wondered what cars looked like years ago and things like that. So I just try and bring related stuff, and just always fun just to find things and be able to show them, and somebody walk up and say, that's your uncle so-and-so, or, I remember that. I was there that day, and that sort of thing.
Well, here in a second, you can see some of the writing on there. What's the SLAR, St. Louis Area Racing Association?
Yes, that was a group down the St. Louis area. Over the years, there's always been, a lot of different organizations and stuff like that, and some of them have hung on, others, have gone away and or be renamed and things like that. That's one of Arnie's helmets there.
They've changed a bit.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a Bell helmet. That's probably not that old. I mean, it's not a 50s style helmet. That's probably, what, a 70s or 60s helmet?
Probably in the 60s. Yeah, and it is USAC registered. There's a tag on the back of it. That there is a trophy that Arnie won in Lincoln Speedway back in 1954. So I got to looking at that a while ago and thinking, wow, that's almost 65 years old.
And that's not the Lincoln Speedway of now. It's the Lincoln Speedway of old.
Correct.
So a little different. It's not what we think of. That some tracks have the same name, but they aren't in the same location. Peoria Speedway has moved, for example. Jacksonville Speedway has always been here, right?
Yes.
So what is it that you try to strive for with your Jacksonville Speedway Hall of Fame? Obviously, you're constantly looking for new stuff, but what's your goal, or what do you hope to be able to do?
For Hall of Fame, we just want to honor people, not necessarily just drivers, but fans, promoters, photographers, people that had a big influence on the track. We don't go by, how many wins a driver had. A lot of times it's how long they've been here, all the different roles they played, like Ronnie Milton. He is a driver, he was a car builder, he was a promoter, spectator. I mean, he did it all.
Yeah, he did. And, people, I think some people, if you're not from here, forget that Kenny Dobson now has got a history here as well.
Yes, his dad promoted the races here years ago, and I'm still trying to piece all that together of, who won what championships over the years, and different flagmen, different drivers, things like that.
Announcers are important, too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Travis Logue's done a great job here. Ryan Kent is out there announcing now. They've had a lot of good announcers here through the year. They've had good promoters. The Woods were great promoters here, keeping this place going through the years, and it's been an up and down battle, and that's what everybody faces year in and year out. So it's really neat that you're able to go back for this particular racetrack in particular and say these are the people that have got us to where we are today.
Right, and everybody really got a different idea how things should be done, so it's nice, over the years that there's different promoters and different ideas, and they bring in different classes of cars and stuff like that, but biggest thing is Jacksonville is still here.
Jacksonville Midget Championships are on the racetrack, I think, as we speak, actually. The first heat race or so, you might be able to hear him talking, so we're a little late, but it's been a good day, a lot of cars here. Kenny's done a really good job of bringing different things to this racetrack, hasn't he?
Yes, he's had drivers from all over the world here, Driver earlier this year from Tasmania, not just the United States.
Was he a devil?
Could have been. I don't know. I didn't meet him. I'm always set up underneath the grandstand until intermission, and then I pick things up, and then I go out and watch the features. So
okay.
I miss a lot of it.
Yeah, I understand. It's like it's being an official. Everybody thinks it's the greatest thing in the world, but you're usually doing something.
And you miss so much.
Even if you're scoring, you know, the announcer gets to see most things, and the flagman gets to see most things. But outside of that,
right,
you don't see a whole lot of what's going on. You're focused on whatever your job is.
It takes a lot of people to do this. People selling tickets, people selling food, just a lot of people to put this on and make everything run smoothly.
This Hall of Fame lounge has become pretty cool down here too, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It's heated underneath the grandstand now. Kenny and Deb Cassins has insulated and things, so we're starting to have stuff during the winter when it gets colder. They've had wedding receptions here, race parties, our Hall of Fame banquet, things like that. So Kenny's really going out of his way to try and make it a year-round event.
And that's really a key. So, well, I'll tell you what, maybe if I let you go, you can go see some racing before features, but you can't if I got you stuck in here.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll go back to my table and talk stories with people and maybe get out and see the features and go from there. But really appreciate you taking time and talking to me. And
well, I appreciate you coming. It was kind of a last-minute deal, but you had some cool stuff on your table, so I wanted to make sure we talked about that. And folks, you can always contact Wayne on Facebook if you have any questions about Jacksonville Speedway. But every time you come here, make sure you check out the table because there's always something a little different. And there's a bunch of pictures in that album. We didn't really talk about that, but that photo album's got a bunch of pictures in it too.
Oh, yeah. And then I have the laptop because I can't carry my 100-plus notebooks around all the time. So put a lot of stuff on the laptop and show it that way. But, to contact me, just go on Facebook and Jacksonville Speedway Hall of Fame, and I can try to get back to you as quick as I can if you got questions or
if you have photos or stories or pieces
whatever
of history from here, make sure you get a hold of Wayne and the Jacksonville Speedway Hall of Fame page and get it to them and at least let them have a picture of it or something.
Yeah, or if you want to see something, maybe you've got a driver or a family member or whatever, I'll see if I can find it and put that up there and let everybody in the world see it.
All right. Well, Wayne, thank you very much. Don't forget, folks, if you're tuning in now, live on Speed Shift TV tonight, which is not very regular. They usually do the live stream for free here at Jacksonville Speedway, but tonight it's Speed Shift TV doing the live feed for the Jacksonville Midget Championships. So if you want to climb off of here and hop onto your computer or TV or whatever you watch it on. This day and age, you can watch it on anything, right?
Just about anything.
So if you want to do that, hop on and check out Speed Shift TV and we'll check out the Jacksonville Midget Championships. Of course, almost every weekly show is free on the YouTube channel for Jacksonville Speedway. Like them on Jacksonville Speedway's Facebook page, and they'll lead you right to every week how to watch the races here. That's one of the newfound things that Kenny Dobson has done that a lot of tracks refuse to do, but I think it's worked really well for Kenny. His crowd has actually grown since he started showing it live on the internet. So something to think about. There's all kinds of things, Wayne. Stuff changes so much.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that stuff on the CFF Racing shows as we move along, but I want to thank Wayne for coming on board. Thanks for Zach Daum, Joe B. Miller, and Korey Weyant for talking to us. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show when we came back. It worked better this time, I think. We were watching it on my phone, so it seems to have worked just fine. So thanks for joining us. We'll be back Wednesday night live from Burlington's Buffalo Wild Wings as we've got, who do we have? Maybe Billy Duesenberry, but I know that we have a couple other people coming on as well on the show, and I'm drawing a complete blank of who they are at the moment, so I apologize for that. But we'll be live at Burlington's Buffalo Wild Wings, and we'll have a race to play as well on the big screen. So come join us there every week, and we'll let you know where our next live show will be somewhere down the road. Thank you for joining us tonight here on the CFF Racing Show powered by Buffalo Wild Wings.